there is a darkness that comes with winter, not the darkness of night. Something older, something colder. When the trees become black against the snow, when the lakes freeze solid, when the wind screams through the forest, and the food begins to disappear. That is when the old stories say, you must be careful what hunger awakens. For deep within the winter forests of the northern woodlands, there is said to be something that does not sleep, something that walks when the temperature falls, something that hungers when the living are starving, something that was once spoken of not as a creature of fantasy, but as a warning against greed, a warning against selfishness, a warning against consuming more than you need, until eventually, nothing is ever enough. They called it by different names, in different Algonquian languages and traditions. One of the names most familiar today is the Wendigo, an ice monster, a cannibal spirit, a giant that stalks the winter woods, a being associated with starvation, greed, and a hunger that can never be satisfied. But perhaps the most frightening part of the story is that the Wendigo is not always something that begins as a monster. Sometimes, the monster begins as a human being. Tonight, we're going deep into the darkness of the Wendigo, where the legend came from, what the Wendigo was believed to represent, what person could become associated with it, what the creature was said to do when it found people, and why some traditional stories say that even the smallest and weakest among us could defeat it. So turn down the lights, let the fire burn low, and listen carefully, because tonight we are entering the winter woods, and somewhere beyond the trees, something is hungry. The Wendigo belongs to a family of traditions among several Algonquian-speaking people of North America, including Ojibwe and Cree communities. The stories vary from one community and tradition to another. So there is no single version of the Wendigo, but certain themes appear again and again. Winter, hunger, cannibalism, greed, transformation, and a supernatural being that threatens the community. In recorded Ojibwe traditions, the Wendigo is described as an ice monster or cannibalistic giant that stalks the winter woods, looking for people to devour. But there is another layer. The Wendigo could also be frightening because people believed that a human being could become one. And that changes everything. Because if the monster can begin as a person, then the forest isn't the only place you need to fear. You may need to fear what hunger can do to a human soul. To understand the Wendigo, you have to understand winter. Imagine living hundreds of years ago in the northern forests. There are no grocery stores, no trucks bringing food from hundreds of miles away, no electric heat, no emergency services. When winter arrives, the world changes. The rivers freeze. The animals become harder to find. The nights become longer. Food becomes precious. And a failed hunt can mean more than an empty dinner table. It can mean starvation. The Wendigo therefore becomes something more than a monster hiding among the trees. It becomes a warning. Because when resources become scarce, people can become desperate. And when desperation turns into selfishness, the entire community can suffer. The Wendigo represents the hunger that has forgotten how to stop. A person eats and is still hungry. They take and still want more. They consume, and there is never enough, until eventually the hunger consumes them. The traditional stories describe the Wendigo as a terrifying, supernatural being, associated with cannibalism and the devouring of people. In some accounts, it is enormous. In others, it is associated with ice and supernatural cold. Some descriptions emphasize its frightening hunger. Others focus on its connection to human transformation. But one thing remains consistent. The Wendigo is dangerous because it does not know when to stop. It doesn't eat because it is hungry. It eats because hunger has become its nature. It doesn't kill because it must. It kills because the hunger has taken control. And once it begins, there may be no natural end. That is why the Wendigo is such a powerful symbol. A bear can be full. A wolf can be full. A human being can be full. But the Wendigo is never full. Later accounts and scholarship describe the Wendigo with an especially disturbing image: an icy heart. The idea fits the legend perfectly. A creature that has consumed everything around it would have nothing warm left inside. No compassion, no generosity, no connection, only hunger, only cold, only appetite. And so the Wendigo becomes more than a physical monster. It becomes a portrait of what happens when humanity freezes from the inside. A person can still have a face, a voice, hands, eyes, and a human body, while something inside them has become completely cold. And that may be the most terrifying monster of all. How does somebody become a Wendigo? This question is surrounded by many different traditions and later interpretations. There isn't one universal Wendigo transformation ritual. Different Algonquian traditions tell different stories. Some describe people becoming Wendigos through supernatural transformation. Some connect the Wendigo with cannibalism and extreme hunger. Some stories portray the being as an ice monster. Others suggest that the Wendigo could be a human being, transformed or spiritually corrupted. And there is an important distinction here. The modern internet often turns the Wendigo into a creature with a simple origin story. Someone eats human flesh and instantly becomes a monster. The traditional material is more complicated. The deeper theme is not merely the act of eating, it is the destruction of humanity through an insatiable appetite. The person has crossed a boundary, and the hunger becomes greater than the person. The story of the child who became a Wendigo. This traditional story is recorded by the Milwaukee Public Museum as an Ojibwe Wendigo tradition. Our Ojibwe story begins with a young couple living with their community during winter. They had a newborn child. The baby was still very young, too young to speak. But one day, the parents heard their infant speak. The child asked about a powerful spirit. The parents were shocked. The mother warned the child not to speak that way.
No, never speak of these things.
But something had already changed. Several nights later, the family went to sleep. The baby rested in his cradle board between his parents. The fire burned low. The wind moved outside, and sometime during the night, the mother woke. She reached toward the cradle board and found it empty. The baby was gone. The parents searched the dwelling. Nothing. They searched the nearby homes. Nothing. Then they found something in the snow. Tiny tracks. They followed them. The tracks led toward the frozen lake. Then something changed. The footprints became enormous, far larger than the feet of any infant. The parents realized that something terrible had happened. Their child had become a Wendigo. The tracks continued across the frozen lake. The Wendigo was heading toward the realm of a powerful spirit, and if it wasn't stopped, the village could be destroyed. The people prepared for the creature. The battle began. The Wendigo approached like a living nightmare, and supernatural beings fought it. Finally, a bolt of lightning struck the creature. It fell. The people approached the enormous body, but when they began cutting into it, they discovered something impossible. The monster was made of ice, and under the ice was the tiny body of the infant. The monster had been enormous, but inside was the child who had been lost. The Wendigo had consumed the humanity of the child and transformed it into something terrifying. The story ends with the Wendigo destroyed and the village saved. What does Wendigo really mean? Now we come to the heart of the story. The Wendigo isn't simply a monster. It is a warning. It asks a question. How much is enough? How much food? How much wealth? How much power? How much land? How much do we take before taking becomes consuming? The Wendigo has no answer, because for the Wendigo, there is never enough. That is why the monster is so terrifying. It isn't simply hungry, It is hunger without an ending. And that idea has survived because human beings still understand it. Greed doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it begins with just a little more, then just one more, then I need this, then I deserve this, and eventually the appetite becomes the master, the person becomes the servant, and the heart turns cold. The hunger that never dies. When winter comes and night grows long, and frozen winds begin their song, when snow conceals the forest floor, and hunger waits outside the door, beware the thing the cold winds bring. Beware the shadow without spring. For deep within the winter wood, there walks a thing that once was good. Its eyes are dark, its heart is cold. Its hunger grows though none is told. It walks where frozen branches bend, and searches for the road's dead end. It hears the hunter breathe at night. It watches fires burn bright. It waits beyond the circle's glow, where frightened winter shadows grow. It does not sleep. It does not tire. It walks through snow. It walks through fire. And every meal becomes one more. Yet still it hungers as before. For nothing fills the empty soul when hunger takes complete control. The heart turns cold. The spirit breaks. The hungry soul consumes and takes, until beneath the frozen skin, the monster wakes and hunger wins. So guard your heart when winter comes, when empty roads replace the sun. Remember those who stand beside and share the warmth you keep inside. For greed can freeze a warmer heart and slowly tear a soul apart. The Wendigo does not need a chain. It only needs more food, more power, more gain. And when the wanting never ends, the monster no longer needs pretend. For sometimes, monsters are not born. They rise from hunger before the dawn. The Wendigo has been called a monster, a spirit, an ice creature, a cannibal, a warning, and a nightmare. But beneath all those names is something far more powerful, a lesson, a reminder that survival without compassion can become destruction, that hunger without limits becomes greed, and that when a person begins believing that nothing will ever be enough, they may lose something far more valuable than food. They may lose themselves. The modern horror world gave the Wendigo antlers. It gave it glowing eyes. It gave it long limbs and a skeletal body. But the older stories gave it something much more frightening, a human heart. Because somewhere beneath the ice, beneath the hunger, beneath the monster, there may once have been a person. And perhaps that is why the Wendigo has survived for generations. Not because people are afraid of what might be hiding in the woods, but because they understand the warning. Hunger can be survived. Winter can be survived. Hardship can be survived. But when we forget one another, when greed replaces compassion, when enough becomes a word we no longer understand, that's when the darkness begins. So tonight, when the wind moves through the trees and the snow begins to fall, listen carefully. If you hear footsteps outside, don't assume they're an animal. If you hear something breathing beyond the firelight, don't assume it's the wind. And if something whispers from the darkness, "I'm still hungry," remember, the Wendigo isn't frightening because it is hungry. It's frightening because it can never be full. I am Four Winds, and thank you for joining me here tonight. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps keep these stories alive and allows me to continue exploring the mysteries, legends, spirits, and unexplained phenomena that linger beyond the veil. Good night.